Hello everyone, I'm Dr. Y. Coney and welcome to Bright Star Baby and Child Clinic. In this video, I would like to talk about baby led weaning, BLW. This video is sort of like a follow-up video from my previous one, which is on how to start solid foods in infants. So BLW is a rather trendy thing going on. It's not very new, but it is definitely newer than the traditional way of starting complementary foods. So let's begin. What is baby-led weaning or BLW? BLW is a relatively newer term used to describe a way of giving complementary foods to your baby, in which babies feed themselves. The child is offered pieces of whole food in a size and shape that they will be able to pick up and feed themselves with. And typically the foods are in a sort of stick-shaped form, and babies usually eat whatever that the rest of the family members are also eating at the same time, albeit some minor modifications in terms of size and shapes and textures, okay? So the parents decide what to offer the babies, but ultimately it's the babies themselves who decide what they will eat, how much they will eat, as well as how quickly. Theoretically, introducing BLW to your baby allows them to be in charge, explore, and choose what they pick up and eat. The recommended age to start BLW is around 6 months old. It is just a little later than the traditional spoon-fed purée method, which can start as early as 4 months old. Almost all foods that spoon-fed babies are given can be modified in a way that it can be given to children who are going through BLW, except for certain things like cereals and porridge, which is quite hard to pick up with the hands. Now you might wonder how to start BLW. To try baby-led weaning, your baby will first need to be able to grasp things and put it into their mouths, as well as able to sit up independently without slumping down or falling sideways. Babies usually develop these skills at around 6 months old. First, you can try letting your baby sit upright, facing the table, either on a high chair, a feeding chair, or on your lap. And you must make sure that they are steady and able to use their arms and hands freely. You can start by offering your baby sticks and chunks of food rather than feeding it to them directly. You can try giving them things like cooked sweet potatoes, banana, steamed broccoli florets, or melty baby biscuits. Now here are some of the pros and cons of the BLW method. I'll start off with the pros. Generally, BLW has been touted as a way of exposing your child to a variety of foods and textures. It seemingly encourages the baby to have a higher intake of healthier foods. And also, because the child is in control of what he or she eats, this may lead to better sort of regulation of their hunger and fullness, which may theoretically lead to the decrease of obesity in later life. So first of all, BLW gives baby a better control over what he or she eats. Giving your baby control over their food intake may teach him or her to self-regulate hunger. So he'll stop when he's full and eat when he's hungry, rather than being force-fed some spoonfuls when someone else is feeding him. BLW also helps to teach the baby new skills, including oral and fine motor skills. For a baby that might not be sure about a new taste or texture, BLW can give her control to manipulate the foods in her mouth, and she decides whether to swallow it or not. It also aids in hand-eye coordination. BLW also allows your baby to get messy during mealtimes and play and experiment as well. It may even help reduce the stress that some babies have. In BLW method, babies get used to different food textures from the beginning. And lastly, your baby can be offered food that the whole family is eating, with no need or little need for a separate meal just for the little one. Now, here are some of the cons. Generally speaking, although healthcare professionals do acknowledge there are some benefits with BLW, the main concern about BLW is that there is a potential increased risk of choking, iron deficiency, and inadequate energy intake or nutrient intake. So first of all, some of the potential safety concern would be that because of the BLW method that encourages whole foods, some babies may not have developed the needed oral motor skills to eat those foods, which can lead to gagging, vomiting, and potentially choking. However, so far, studies have not shown any increased incidence of choking related to BLW. There might be a potential negative mealtime experience with BLW. So while gagging and coughing mechanisms are quite common to help prevent a baby from choking, these reflexes are both very uncomfortable and scary for the little baby to go through, particularly in BLW. Learning to eat solid food takes a lot of practice. So when they have a lot of gagging or spitting up, the eating experience may not be so comfortable for your child, and hence may lead to a very bad experience with eating. We want babies to have fun when they are trying new foods, not to be scared or uncomfortable. So this potentially may be a problem in children learning the BLW method. It's also quite hard to pinpoint an allergic reaction because in BLW, children are encouraged to eat foods that are prepared together with the family. If many foods are given at once, it is very hard to find the culprit of an allergy. So pediatricians usually will recommend trying one new food at a time and monitoring for reactions before moving on to the next food. In BLW, it would be quite difficult to pinpoint the culprit if certain allergies arise. In BLW, one has to start this method at a slightly later age at 6 months old once baby has attained those skills to sit independently and move food to the mouth using their hands. But in traditional spoon-fed method, babies can start as early as 4 months old. And lastly, by using the BLW method, the baby may potentially have some nutrient deficiencies. Foods that contain iron and zinc, such as fortified cereals and meats, may not be part of the repertoire in BLW's menu. Theoretically, they may not get enough of those nutrients. So what do we do? Since there are pros and cons, as a pediatrician and a mother myself, I went with the middle approach for my children, which means that I combine the traditional puree method with the BLW method. Now, this is also a very common way that a lot of parents start solid foods in their young ones. You may start off with spoon feeding single ingredient purees first, especially when they are ready for solids but they are too young for BLW method, usually around the 4 months to 5 months old mark. When they grow older, you can start mixing it up with BLW method by giving them stick-shaped foods that they can grab onto. And you can also take turns with spoon feeding, meaning you feed the baby one bite and you help your baby hold the spoon and feed himself the next bite. So taking turns. Another method to try is that in one meal, you can also offer a mixture of BLW foods that the rest of the family is eating. Plus, you spoon feed the baby at certain times too, in the same meal. That leads to a win-win situation. This will add variety to your child's menu as well as the nutrients that they need. I hope you learned a thing or two about BLW. And if you have any questions, please feel free to ask them in the comments section. Thank you for watching the video. Do tune in for my next video. And meanwhile, stay safe and take care. Bye!